Kunal, why should people support us on Patreon? This has been keeping me up till 3 in the morning.
This is a good conundrum.
See, people can listen to this free also.
I mean,
sure.
if you support us, then other people also get to listen to this craziness.
Yeah. And the thing is, you see, like sometimes in life, you look at a thing and this is like, you say, this is so bad. My God, this is so bad.
And how can I spread this? It's almost like a disease. And when you pay, the bottom line is that you don't suffer alone.
No.
You suffer with
And
other listeners.
You motivate demotivators.
Yeah.
So you encourage us
To demotivate.
to demotivate you. And who else is doing that in life?
And why wouldn't you pay for such a service?
Enough people are paying, you pay to give you love, to give you things. How many people are paying to tell you that it's all shit?
And just that sense for the shitter things in life.
The truly shitter things.
Yeah. So we need your help and we need your support.
Yeah.
So please go to patreon.com/our last week and
Party.
yeah,
Patreon.com/our last week.
that's the one.
Hey, this is a podcast. No, wait. It's a comedy podcast. Well, we tried to make it a comedy podcast. And it's not meant to offend anyone. So don't get offended, okay? And wait, there's something else. Oh, yeah. Listener discretion is advised.
Audiomatic presents Our Last Week.
Hi, Kunal. Kunal? Hi.
Hi,
I
hi.
lost you there for a second.
No, I'm here. I'm very tired. I'm in Goa. I find a lot of places that are supposed to be relaxing and all that stuff. You just end up doing so many things. You don't end up relaxing.
Yeah.
Like you relax in little patches. The rest of the time is just going to this place or going to another place, and you just end up feeling so tired. How can vacations or like holidays be so tiring?
I find holidays more strenuous than work.
Yeah, sometimes the boredom of the work or the like that okay, I'm going to go to there's a certain lethargy that you have in your day-to-day existence that gets disrupted when it comes to holidays, when it comes to leisure. We're not used to leisure. Leisure is a
Yes.
very stressful thing.
Yes.
And to get the right kind of leisure, like you go from one beach to the other beach looking for the correct leisure, and then you're like, this leisure is not as good as that leisure was so much nicer, it was much calmer, now let's go chasing some other. So the whole vacation is like this pursuit of happiness, in 7 days. And it happens, of course there are beautiful beaches and beautiful places and restaurants. But then it's always, oh, this is a good restaurant, but what about that restaurant? Oh, you went there, but you should also go here. Then you're like, oh God, I have to go there also. Then it's the pressure of going to all those places, and it's very tiring, pal.
And what do you think of, like, when you come back and tell people, and you think you've done a pretty good vacation, right? And then you come back and people are like, oh, you didn't go here.
Yeah.
Oh, you didn't do that.
Then too, you haven't been only. They say things like that. Your whole
Then
trip
you didn't
is
go only.
wasted. Your whole
Yeah,
trip is
yeah.
wasted. Then they say, then what did you go to Goa if you
Then-
didn't go there? Then what did you do? I'm like, Arey, I did, yeah, what I had to do. They're like, nah, then you didn't do anything.
Do you think people like that should be killed?
I don't know about killed and all, but like, yeah, I didn't do that. How many things can a person in a human life, how many restaurants can you go to? Like you keep feeling like restaurants around the world are opening and closing before you have gotten to experience them. But through the ages, this has happened. It's just that, oh, I have to eat this here in this place. Then you go there, you eat it, and then, then you've eaten it. Then it's like, oh, I have to go there and I have to eat that.
Do you think in prehistoric times, right? Like, do you think
Hmm.
cavemen
Hmm.
who used to live in a cave and hunt and eat, do you think when they got back at the end of the day,
Yeah.
someone asked them, like, how's your day? What'd you do today? Did you have a productive day? Did you get your
I went
steps
over
in?
that mountain, on the side of the mountain, I went there. Oh, so you saw that lake? No, I didn't see any lake. Arey, then where did you go? You have to go over the whole. What did you eat over there? I had some lamb. What lamb? There's deer over there. You have to eat deer. And you got fruit. No, I didn't get fruit. Arey, they have the best fruit. Then the caveman is like, oh shit, I better go back the next day. I don't think this happened.
I don't. I think as humans, we worsened our fun. I think we have that there are two kinds of travelers in the world. I've noticed one that will just go to a
Hmm.
place, buy a beer and sit down and do
Hmm.
nothing, and then there is the traveler who does like 50 things. Who
Hmm.
are like, oh, I have to see this museum, I have to see this other thing. I find both of those, like if you're sitting and just having beer in a cafe,
Hmm.
and you are only in a country for 14 days and you haven't seen anything, then you feel bad for not engaging, right?
Hmm.
You feel like, why have I come all this way if I'm just going to sit in a pub? And
Yeah.
the people who are doing 50 things, by the end of the day, you're so exhausted, you don't remember anything you've seen.
Hmm.
I don't know if there is any correct way to vacation. That's why I don't vacation only.
Yeah, I don't think there is. I think, there are the type who want to go and be changed by a place. Like a place should change them. I have seen this, I've eaten this, I've experienced that. Now I'm another person. And then there are those who want to change a place by their being there. Or they don't want to do anything. They're just going, like those group tours or those, I don't want to name communities and all, but they
Hmm.
go in these big groups and then they live their life like a small microcosm of, wherever they live in whichever city. And they just in a glass box go to these places, still eat the same food, unchanged, but just see these places and come back. Both are valid, I think. Like the more I think about it, I think maybe that is better. Like what is this place going to change me? Like there's such resistance to eating anything and all. Arey, what kya ukhad lega if I eat this? And they just go there, they eat the same food they eat while they're in India, and then they come back and they just see it. It's like looking at it from behind a glass pane. That's one way to do it.
So travel must come with an anecdote, right? Like last night I was listening to a interview of the BBC. There was a BBC interview of the director, the German director Werner Herzog,
Mm-hmm.
and he's a big favorite of mine. I've loved him for a long time, and he was talking about how he had a mentor, some lady that he wanted to see. So he decided to walk from Munich to wherever she was, Prague or whatever. He decided to walk across three countries. And he said that when you walk, the country reveals itself to you. Like that to me is an interesting journey, like a pilgrimage, like you're walking from a place to another. Like anything can happen because you don't have a plan. you know Nowadays if you look at holidays, you get off and there's a car on the other side that looks like your car in your house. There's a guy, he'll drive you to a hotel that looks like a thing. He'll have a gym, he'll have a pool. Like your experiences will not be that different than where you already are. And I don't know if I'm not saying that means we should all go to Antarctica, but I just feel like there's got to be some way where you go off somewhere. And yeah, I don't know if you've noticed that there's a trending Indian Instagram reel where a woman has a phrase, just like a wow. I don't know if you've seen this.
So beautiful, so elegant, just looking like a wow.
Just looking like a wow. I think she talks about clothes. She's trying on clothes. But and obviously a lot of people made fun of her because the grammar's all wrong, etc. But I want that travel experience, like to get to a place and you look up and you're like, it's like, how is it, man? How was Mount Kilimanjaro? Just like a wow. Like, and I don't think we do that anymore in travel. I bet if while Werner Herzog was walking from one country to another, he must have turned a corner, he must have gone up a mountain, come down a little path. And there must have been a moment where he went it was like just like a wow for him. And I feel like I feel like no matter how many restaurants you go to in Goa,
Hmm.
you already know in your head what broadly it'll be like.
Hmm.
You know, I think like what we're really missing in travel is what this lady's Instagram reel is saying. What we're missing in travel is just like a wow.
Hmm.
Like say for example you're eating at some seafood restaurant in Goa and you're attacked by a bull. Like suddenly a bull charges to the restaurant.
Hmm.
Now then you have a memory.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? Like then you have a memory. Or you go somewhere, they tell you go to Europe or whatever, and they said now in this town you have to. There's no food. You have to hunt and eat,
Hmm. No, it's
or you
true.
have to make your own bed next to a
It's
fire.
true. It's true.
Then you're like, okay, now this let's see what this is going to be now.
No, like we went to all these beaches and they were all good, and we relaxed on not all good. I mean, two of them were very nice, but on this one beach, while we were swimming or we were just went out a little bit into the water, we were attacked by small shrimp. These little shrimp, they seemed like shrimp. I mean, they seemed like small fish, but they were shrimp because they had little curly things, and they started jumping out of the water and like hitting me on my back and my neck, like this thing, tuck 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 all over me. I was wondering what is this. So now out of the
But
whole,
they've probably seen your films, no?
I think
They've
it was
probably
a
seen your
revenge.
movies.
It was an act of revenge. Yeah, they've probably seen some of my other work.
But that's a memory, right? Like
That is
that's a memory. Like
that's a memory. Being
one thing,
attacked by shrimp.
I also like when people ask odd questions, right? Like, say you tell people I've been traveling through China, right?
Hmm.
And the boring questions are, what did you go for a trade conference? Did you buy electronics? Are you looking for a wholesaler? Are you looking for a distributor? Those are the questions about China. One guy asked me, "Oh, you went to China. Did you eat snake?"
Hmm.
And I was like, now I'm intrigued about the person who asked the question.
Hmm.
Because a lot is revealed by the person. If you tell someone, "Oh, I went to Iceland," and their first question is, "Did you go swimming naked in the hot tub?
Hmm.
There is some saltwater spring or something. There's a hot sauna." And they ask you if did you go naked swimming in the sauna. Then you have to inquire more about the other person, saying what kind of holidays do you take? I'm intrigued by that. I think that is quite insightful. But by and large, the holidays we go on, they do nothing. You won't come back with a story, like a proper story.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, I went to Namibia and I've come back and I got a giraffe. Like, that's a fucking story.
Yeah.
That actor Kunal Rai Kapoor. You're talking about your vacation. You know what he did? He went to Namibia on holiday. He came back with a bloody giraffe. Yeah. And you don't tell anyone how you got the giraffe. You just come back with the giraffe. Saying, how's your holiday in Namibia? It's great, yeah. You saw the safari? Yeah, I got a giraffe. And you just drop it casually. Now that is a memorable vacation. I went to a gallery recently and there was an exhibit on a guy who used to live in the Polynesian islands.
Okay.
Okay. And he's a guy. And he's a guy who, and it was an exhibition of explorers, of famous explorers. And there was a little portrait of James Cook, the explorer who discovered Australia. And he found a guy, I think the guy's name was Mai Tai or Mai Yai. He was a Polynesian guy who insisted that he wanted to go back to London. He insisted to James Cook, and James Cook is like, no, you can't come back with me. At that time, there were no visas or whatever. He just discovered Australia, and this guy kept insisting, I want to go back with you. And eventually, James Cook was like, yeah, fine, come with me, fine. Now imagine that vacation where he goes back and people are like, what did you get? What did you get? He got a person back. Imagine you go somewhere on holiday and you return with a whole person. That's a story.
I mean, so many people
That
do
is a
it in
story.
India. They go for
Like
a
right now-
vacation and they don't come back. Like they go to Europe or they go to That's like
Yeah, that's human smuggling. There's
that's
that also.
smuggling.
That's
Yeah,
illegal migration. But
yeah.
like, for example, say you're going to Russia, right? I think you're supposed to go to Russia
I'm
for
going
a
to
trip,
Russia. Yeah,
right? And you're going some obscure part of Russia.
yeah.
What if you returned with a small Russian man?
Hmm.
And you don't explain what happened, he doesn't explain what happened. You just come back with a small Russian man. Say, how's your trip? Yeah, fine, fine. Who's this? This is Yuri.
Hmm.
And then Yuri starts becoming part of your life and no one questions. And it's not romantic, it's not sexual, it's not
Hmm.
financial. It's just a person who's come back with you. And I think in the old days of exploration, that would happen. You know, a person would just leave with another person.
I think the
Now, with
connections were
visas,
much
paperwork, you
deeper
can't
in the
just go
sense
from
that
place to
like
place.
people would like they would spend time together, they would become dependent on each other, and then they would form a sort of relationship which would they would let it alter their lives. I have to go back and to this other land, or I have to bring this person back with me. They would let it change them in a very drastic way and their future and all of that. But I don't think that those were
Yeah,
like
yeah.
life decisions, like I'm going away now, I'm going to England, I'm going to Paris, I'm going, I'm just going.
Even doctors would say, that you want the warm air because he's dying in the cold. So people would go away to Italy for 6 months, or people would go to the tropics, for clean, and they would not come back for 4 or 5 years. People would take sea voyages for years,
Hmm.
and then they return. And obviously, on the voyage, if they met someone, they brought them back to England. And there wasn't an immigration guy saying, what is your status in the UK or whatever.
Hmm.
It's just a guy he picked up on the voyage. You just bring him back. It's fine. We can't do that. We can't just go on a voyage, meet someone, and just bring them back. They'd ask for his Aadhaar, PAN,
But that should be
foreign
allowed, I think.
passport. It's
One
too.
person should be allowed.
I think it should be allowed. One person should absolutely be allowed. Which brings me to another quick conundrum,
Hmm.
Kunal. I recently saw the play King Lear once again.
Okay.
And King Lear is basically about the king deciding which of his three daughters are worthy for inheritance.
Hmm. Hmm.
And it got me thinking about inheritance,
Hmm.
right? Like, so his three daughters, and so two of the daughters lie
Hmm.
and say, we love you dearly. And he basically has a contest for his children. He says, you prove to me how much you love me. And two daughters bullshit. And one daughter says, I won't bullshit you. I'll tell you I love you as much as I do. I'm not going to put on some extra show because of this
Correct.
inheritance thing. So he chucks her
Hmm.
out. He disinherits her and then later realizes his mistake, etc. So the other two daughters jack him. So standard story has been adapted in Bollywood many
Hmm.
times. King Lear, the great story. And we are also getting to a point of inheritance. Our parents are getting old. Do you think we're getting to a point, at some point, whether you're an only child or many children, whatever, your parents start getting suspicious that you love them for them or the fact that you might eventually want the
Hmm.
house? Like at a certain
Hmm.
age, does the unconditional love disappear? Like if you become extra loving
Hmm.
and your parents are quite old, do you think they start getting suspicious that it's for inheritance?
It depends on a few things. But I think by and large, there should always be some amount of suspicion between parent and child. It can't just be clean. Because
Motivations can't be clean. No.
no, no, no. See, because what is the motive has always been something that keeps a lot of relationships going. You know, what do you want? What is behind this? Whether it is
Even in families,
even in
even
family.
in romance.
I mean, romance is one thing. With your partner is one thing, parents is one thing, child is one thing. There's always like some sort of what is the deal here? You know,
Yeah, yeah,
I think you have to keep it.
yeah. And the older they get, there's a little more suspicion, right? The older they get, saying, why so much love? Now, he ignored me when we were younger, but why love? And the thing is, it could be genuine. It
Hmm.
could be
Hmm.
that you're making up for lost time because you were a dickish son or daughter
Yeah.
or whatever. You're making up. You were abroad, didn't give them enough time. Now they're older. but they will start suspecting. So there's never actually a good time to love your parents,
No.
because when you're young, you obviously want to hate them because you want to be free to do your own thing. And when you're older and you've come back in life and you love them, they think, oh, it's because you want the house and the money. So there's never a time actually to love your parents.
There's no right time.
There's no right time. There's no right time.
Another thing that's been troubling me because I'm so tired, and another thing just struck me. I just yawned in the middle of the thing. I don't know whether the listeners could pick up on it, but I did yawn. And in the process of yawning, I got a catch in my neck, like a very bad catch. And I'm figuring that as I get older, like these small things that you do, things that you used to just do normally, like yawning, just bending down to pick up like a shoe, shutting a door, putting on a seat belt. I've got a catch in my back by putting on a seat belt. Like I have to turn to my side and pull the seat, like, oh, my back, my side. What is wrong with us, pal? This is not the age for this. No, we're still young, right? Like,
I'm saying today, like, I have even worse thoughts than that. Like, sometimes I'll do a podcast and I'll feel a little queasy, could be anything, and I'll think, oh my God, I'm getting a heart attack. Like, but today I went for a walk in London, I went for a meeting, it was a bit cold, and I was walking, and for some reason I was out of breath, and I was like, and my left hand started hurting, and I was like, I'm going to die. This is a heart attack. I'm going to die. My every third thought now, at the age of 47, is I think I'm going to die. And the weird thing also is that what I do for a living, I have to stop doing, because you don't do this for a living, which is sit around all day, just get more and more tense, go and perform in front of some people, you shed your adrenaline, then you come home. Like that will kill you, right? That's not a way to live.
no, that's a
It's
short,
like
short
staying at
death.
home all day and just getting tense.
Yeah.
You're right. That's a kind of like weird. So like your thing is that your body is moving and some other bone is creaking, right? Some other bone. Basically, it's like the foundations of our house, the older we get, they become relics. They're not holding anymore. Like in my case, it was very exciting in my 20s or 30s to be like, oh, all day I'm just going to sit around, and then at night I'm going to go talk in front of like 100 people. I'm going to get an adrenaline rush. And what happens is when you do it in your 40s, it's like you're going to die. You're just going to die if you wait around all day like this.
And the thing is that, I
So
figure that even by waiting and sitting, I've gotten pains by sitting also. Like, oh God, I've been sitting so long, it
yeah,
hurts. Like, when did we ever get pain from sitting? This is not on, yeah.
I can't explain what's happened to us. I can't. It's every I don't think I've had a day since I was 40 where I haven't been some kind of unwell. Like something's hurting.
Some physical
Like
discomfort.
I landed in I landed in London, and just from the morning, my ears, like every time I would yawn, my ears would like feel blocked. My left ear was totally blocked. Then that went away, and I found a weird sort of kidney stone pain. Then that went away, and then the balls of my feet started hurting. So every single day, it's like there's a schedule of pain.
It's a
And
buffet.
I can't understand it. And people, our listeners in our 20s, they should enjoy their body, I guess.
Yeah.
Because I'm also like unfit and all that. And sometimes it's less pain, and sometimes it's like, I think I'm going to die. But there is never a day where it's no pain. If there was a day where there's no pain, then I would, like go and eat or jump into the sea or
Yeah,
do
yeah,
something
yeah.
fun. But the reason I don't do anything fun and wait around just to be stressed for the show is because I'm in pain all day.
Yeah.
There's no conundrum here. This is not even
No,
funny.
it's just
We're just
it's
sharing.
just it's
We've done this podcast so long. Now we're just sharing pain,
pain.
stories
Just pain.
of
There's
pain.
no there's nothing to answer here. Yeah.
I have two. I just have very two quick British Indian conundrums. I've never confronted this, so I just wanted to know what you think. My first British Indian conundrum is this: I worked with two British Sikh comedians.
Okay.
Okay, They were both very funny. It was a British Indian show. Two lovely guys. And they were talking and they were joking with each other, saying, listen, if one of us make it big now,
Hmm.
remember there's only space for one of
Hmm.
us.
Hmm.
And then I realized that how certain cultures work, like in Britain or America, whatever, they can only and I see his point where he's like they can only have space for one big British Sikh comedian.
Hmm.
Someone who's going to take that space. It's just one space. Right? Like imagine if we started thinking like that in India.
Hmm.
Nobody says there's only space for one Punjabi rapper. There's only space for one Gujarati stockbroker.
Hmm.
Like India,
Hmm.
we don't think like that. Whereas here, like you have to be the token of that community.
The opposite would work here. Like you'd have the one sort of British villain who was cast consistently in Indian movies, who wasn't even British.
That's so true. Yeah,
But
that
now
is
there
so
can't be
true.
two.
You could not have two Bob Christos.
How?
Yeah, then
Bob
it'll
Gusto
get
was only
tough.
one,
Yeah.
So I'm saying that then, and the villain and the thing, now like, मजा नहीं आया, वो उसी को लाओ, Bob Christo. So I'm saying that, so now say there was an Irish comedian who was performing in Delhi
Yeah.
and he became very popular.
Yeah.
Then another Irish guy came, and you'd be like, okay, but we already have this one Irish guy. We can't have two popular Irish comedians in Delhi. And the same went for Sunny Leone
Too much.
also. Like Sunny Leone came and she was like a porn star who then made it into the mainstream. Then there were two, three other Indian porn stars who wanted to do the same thing. But the thing was that crossover space had been occupied.
Door.
That door had been shut.
The door was
There was
shut.
only space
The
for
door was
one
shut.
porn star who wants to make it into mainstream, who was not of Indian, like who was of
Yeah.
Indian origin but from abroad. So when other porn stars of Indian origin tried to do that, they failed because that space has been occupied. You know, so now how many? We can't include all now. We've got the porn star who's now made it to the
Yeah.
mainstream. You know, so it's the same problem that they're facing there. There is only so much room.
First mover advantage. It's a thing. It's absolutely a thing. I guess it goes all the way back to the empire, right? Like you couldn't have had like that's why Britain and France fought a war over India.
Hmm.
Because they said, boss, Indians will be confused if they're ruled by two different sets of white people in wigs.
Yeah.
We can only have one set of white people in
Or
wigs.
even imagine this, like there was the East India Company and then there was the Southeast India Company. Okay, that was slightly different.
Yeah.
They were in the other building. They were the competitors to the East India Company. They were
No, there was the British East India Company. There was also the Dutch East India
There was a
Company.
Dutch
Right?
also, but that was an actual thing. But I'm saying in England there were two. The East India Company and another British East India Company, the Southeast British East India Company. Now there can't be space for two British
Okay.
East India companies. No, one was East India Company and one was just called like Trader Joe's, whatever. It was just a separate trading company. It's like now where the main East India, you can't have a second English trading company coming now. That's done.
At some point, there has to be a limit.
There has to be some sort of cap. So they were right. There is no space for two.
There's no space. He's right. There's no space for two Sikh.
Yeah.
There's no space. Absolutely correct. Actually, attached to that is a very, very quick conundrum, Kunal. Very quick, which is I have a Indian guy, British Indian guy, friend of mine, staying with me in Bombay. They were staying with me last week. Very sweet guy. And he's been in Britain his whole life. He loved India. He absolutely loved it. He loved the idea of living there. He's like, India's so great, man. People are so friendly. I think I want to move here. I think I want to tell my girlfriend to move here. I didn't want to burst his bubble. And I said, just think about it. Don't move here immediately. Think about it. You have your life in He said, no, UK is shit, man. I want to move to India. I want to. And then he cornered me and he said, tell me three reasons why India is not good. And I was under pressure and I couldn't explain to him because it would take much longer to explain to him, I guess, what I was trying to say. And so, therefore, I kind of left it. He said, see, you don't have any good reasons. You don't have any good reasons. And the thing is, like, how do I not burst this guy's bubble, but not tell him the reality of India? Because if he moved here, he would realize, and should I just let him realize? And at the end of it, he may love India like all of us do, but in a different way than this kind of initial kind of, Swadesh, Shah Rukh Khan kind of love.
Ask him to go for a jog in the morning or take a train to Churchgate, or,
He- yeah.
like just use some of the basic public infrastructure. I mean, just engage more, less with the restaurants.
Navigate,
Yeah.
yeah.
Navigate your way through
Navigate
the
Bangalore
city.
traffic on Friday.
Correct.
Yeah, yeah. Try to get an invoice cleared from a
Correct.
Marwari business, whatever, like stuff. Just give him
Go
some
to the
tasks.
station and book a ticket on the Rajdhani. Like just do the whole process. Like
Yeah, yeah,
do
yeah,
some basic stuff.
yeah, 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 yeah.
Just tell him to
Try
do
to
some
solve
of
a
that stuff.
dispute of property between two brothers.
Yeah.
Like try to solve a fight between two brothers over a Bombay property. That kind of thing. Like just slowly, like rather than tell him India is like this, slowly give him some this should be a reality show. Understand India. So 5 NRIs come, they love India unconditionally, and they are given 4 5 tasks. And then you ask them at the end of it, do you still love India unconditionally? Then we see what they say.
No, and it's fair enough. Like some people can fall in love with all the idiosyncrasies and everything. But I think to experience it, you need to not only experience, the services, because when you first come to a country, what you're engaging with is the service part of the country, the hospitality. People are.
Which is always wonderful in India.
Which is
Always
always
wonderful.
good, like even the people when you go to a restaurant or that's what you engage with most, right? Like people who are behind counter, the service industry. And the service industry in India is always bending over backwards to make you feel comfortable and good and welcome and all of that. But as soon as then you start engaging with the other half, you know the ethics part of it, the business or infrastructure, or
Truth.
or even
Truth
other
telling.
things like like just like standard of living in terms of going for a walk on the street or ask him to have a child and take a pram down the footpath. Tell him to do that. Tell him, why don't you have a child?
Yeah.
Put the child in a pram and walk 800 meters. Just 800 meters anywhere in the city of Bombay.
Or just casual racism.
Casual
Like,
racism. I mean,
casual homophobia.
these things
Let
are
him
given,
encounter
and
these
that's
things.
okay. That you can still. But these smaller things, I think you'll. Although I mean, we deal with it all the time. We're used to it. But I'm saying that these are pros and cons.
Kunal, this has been our last week, and you're in Goa, I'm in London.
Yes.
But very, very soon we will be together in Bombay. And big announcement, there's a change of date.
Change of date.
Unfortunately, because of me, because I'm a shitty person, we are moving our live show from 1st of December to the 3rd of December.
That's a major change. A lot of people will have to shift, flights.
Major
and all
change.
that. They'll have to rejig their whole sort of schedule to make it.
See, we are jesting, we're jesting, but you never know. There might be some listener who would have come into Bombay just for that Friday, and we don't want to break his or her heart. We're hoping Sunday is as good as a day because it's a holiday.
It is.
And it's not too far away from Friday. So hopefully, if you've come into town on Friday to see us, you can do something on Saturday and then come see us on Sunday.
Please do. Please do.
So details will be on social media and everywhere else.
And you can get
We
tickets.
are at our last week at audiomatic.in.
Tickets you can get on Book My Show.
On Book My Show, you can get tickets.
And of course, Patreon.
The correction would have...
Yeah. Patreon subscribers get free tickets, I think, with one.
Free. Patreon subscribers can come in anytime and just do anything.
Yeah.
They can demand to...
I mean, they can come in the morning also and just stare at the stage and then wait for the show, like in the evening. They can do anything pretty much.
Yeah, they can.
They have
They
free
can.
reign,
They
as
can
they
demand
speak.
part ownership in the venue.
Yeah.
Anything.
Anything's possible.
Anything is possible. We love you. We will see you soon, Kunal. We have done this right after India has won the World Cup semi-final match. Just before we go, your prediction for the World Cup final?
I mean, I don't know. We're looking very strong, but winning 11 in a row is always going to be tough. But I think with this team and this bowling, we can probably do it. So, yeah, I think India will probably win.
So by the time this goes out, which is Monday,
Nothing would have
our
happened.
predictions. No, they'll have the results. So I'm going with Australia. You're going with India. Let's see what happens. By the time you listen, listeners, you can decide.
Yes.
Because you will listen on Monday.
You were listening to Our Last Week, produced by Akanksha Kadam and Avdoot Khanolkar, hosted by Anuvab Pal and Kunal Roy Kapoor.